Hi guys, a very good evening to you. It's me, Jeff Ignacio, the owner of this channel, Sukahati Pelanggan. How are you guys doing? Have you guys taken your dinner? I just had my dinner. It's quite disappointing, but it is okay. Alright, so first and foremost, thank you so much for the subscribe, for the comments and the likes. Once again, it truly means a lot to me. And a lot of you maybe are wondering what is Sukahati Pelanggan. Where in Malay, Sukahati Pelanggan, it's up to the customer. The customer is me, meaning to say it's up to me to decide what I want to put in my channel, what I want to do with my channel, who I want to react, how I want to react to videos and whatnot. Sukahati Pelanggan, up to me to decide how I want it to be. However, I do enjoy reading your comments. I do enjoy receiving your comments, and I love when you subscribe. And of course, for those who would like to maintain anonymous, thank you so much for the likes as well. Okay, I believe for the past 6 months, nearly 6 months, I supposed to travel to Korea in March 22nd. And then my ticket got postponed. Got postponed. And one more thing, I do not edit my videos. What I'm trying to say is, if I say wrongly or if I accidentally say something or anything that I shouldn't be saying, I will just apologize because I will not edit. Number two, I have no time to do all of this editing. So whatever you see is what you get. Okay? So like I said, I'm supposed to fly to Korea on 22nd of March. 4 days after Malaysia announced the MCO, Movement Control Order, and my ticket was postponed to June. And then once again, AirAsia sent a notification of cancelling my flight. It's in August 20 to 26. I was supposed to just come back from Korea. Unfortunately, we have the, I don't know, PKPP we call it. I do not know how to say it in English because I can't remember. And it's postponed to October. Imagine April, June, August, and now October. Then Malaysia extended the restriction until end of the year. You cannot go out, you cannot go in. For the very first time in more than 10 years, I didn't get to travel overseas. Not even Singapore, where I'm staying. I mean, I'm staying where I am right now is in. I'm a neighboring to Singapore. Sorry, the state that I'm living in Malaysia now is the neighbor to Singapore. Oh my goodness, it's very hard to put into words when you are not not focused, because I'm having a sore throat now after drinking cold drinks. So bad. So anyhow, I am going to react to this video, and I believe this video is very true. I have yet to watch it, but based on the title is just one more, the title, COVID-19, why travel will never be the same according to The Economist. It's not gonna be the same, definitely. So let's watch this together. At the same time, ia akan menambahkan ilmu pengetahuan kepada semua. Not only reaction about music, not only about entertainment, but something that we can add on to our knowledge and be more informative when people ask us questions. It's not about entertainment only, alright? So I believe for those yang rajin berjalan, rajin travel macam saya, I'm a backpacker by the way. I don't travel in style, but I can be in style even though I'm a backpacker, alright? So I am going to react to this now and see what will happen, okay?
This is what the skies looked like in March.
Yeah.
And this was 1 month later, when passenger numbers were a staggering 94% lower than the previous year, thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic.
For the staff,
Business
for the
is now
airline.
starting to pick up. But travel is becoming increasingly localized and complicated.
Yeah.
This
Tell me
world
about it.
of quite easy travel and relatively free movement just sort of has evaporated almost overnight.
Yeah.
This will have consequences far beyond cancelled holiday bookings.
Do you believe me if I said I believe everyone also feel the same thing, that nobody has expected that this coronavirus or COVID-19 is such a massive impact into human lives. It's another pandemic that saya tidak pernah alami, not even during SARS, not even during H1N1. This is like beyond my imagination. I can never imagine that one day I get to not go to work for 3 months because of a virus, and I'm at home for 3 months The only time that I can go out is when I want to buy my groceries, and yeah, basically groceries.
It could exacerbate existing inequalities, create economic hardship,
Indeed.
and disrupt the workings of the globalized world.
How will COVID-19 transform travel?
The tourism industry is enormous.
Indeed.
Every year, international holidaymakers spend $1.6 trillion. That's more than Spain's GDP.
Woo!
Or at least
That's
they
huge.
did before the coronavirus pandemic.
The CDC just told everyone, do not travel.
Postpone or cancel all non-essential travel.
In April 2020, planes carried just 31 million passengers around the world. The sort of passenger levels last seen in the late 1970s.
Oh, we are back to 70s, something
In
like that.
April this year, 200,000 passengers went through Heathrow Airport in London, which is fewer than would go through on any single day in a normal month.
IATA, the airline trade body, has said flights will not return to pre-pandemic levels for several years.
Oh my goodness,
In
several
China,
years?
flights are now just 21% below normal levels. While in America, air traffic began to pick up in May, but remains 57% below normal.
Oh.
And in much of Europe, flight numbers are still around 75% lower than the same time last year. And while passenger numbers are
Can you imagine when it stayed 75% lower, 20% lower or something? Is it like negative, or I do not know, because I'm not good with maths or scale. Please let me know. Enlighten me, please.
creeping up, some areas, like business travel, may never recover. After the last financial crisis, the number of overseas business trips taken per person in the UK fell by a third and
Oh
never
my
picked
goodness.
up.
Oh wow.
Whereas leisure travel did eventually climb back to pre-crisis levels.
Oh.
Were the same thing to happen again, it could have a significant impact on airline profits.
Business travelers actually subsidize leisure travelers. Your £250 transatlantic fare in the back of the plane is possible because somebody at the front of the plane is paying $800 or $1,500.
Airlines are already struggling.
Virgin Atlantic has announced plans to cut more than 3,000 jobs in the UK.
Air Canada lost more than $1 billion in the first quarter.
The one thing I just want to share with you guys, the one thing that I feel really sad and I really feel is the people who is behind the scene, the workers, the staff who is like doing the check-in, check-out, handling travels, and became the stewardess on an airline, the pilot and whatnot. I have been in the industry for about 10 years, and for them to suddenly lose their job like that, I have friends who like have to go for an unpaid leave, who has to like take alternate days to leave, who even like unpaid leave and do not know when they're gonna start again. My sister got like a cut of more than like nearly 2,000 ringgit out of her like tiny salary. Can you imagine the impact of not having to cannot travel? It's good for those who like think like they are not related, but actually you are penyumbang economy, especially when it comes to traveling. When you travel, you actually help a lot in terms of economy, help a lot those people who are actually like in need, like those are working, you know. But now they are not we, but they are the most affected ones because they are directly involved in the industry.
In March, IATA warned that without government aid, just 30 of the world's 700 or so airlines would make it through the pandemic.
Oh my goodness.
The airlines that survive will determine the competition and prices on certain routes.
Some airlines are in pretty good financial shape. Within Europe, there remains a lot of competition. Transatlantic flights, there is still plenty of competition, but on routes where there's much thinner competition, prices will go up. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
For the
Prices
well-off,
will go
the
up.
price increases may be an annoyance, But they could also have a significant impact on global mobility, as lower income travellers may find themselves priced out of the skies.
What happens with airfares and with the prices of flights affects not just summer holidays. Migrants have parents or spouses in one country and work in another.
Yep.
And for all of these people, it is quite important that they continue to be able to go home.
Correct.
In June, 189 countries had imposed some form of travel restriction, ranging from measures like quarantine.
That is one of them
closures.
is Malaysia.
And governments are desperate to open up travel as quickly as possible.
The government is to make it easier for British holidaymakers to travel to much of Europe this summer.
Though these arrangements may help tourists, they could also create an increasingly inequitable system.
The British government is working to allow Brits to go off on holiday to, say, Spain or France and come back without the need for quarantine. But that doesn't take into account the fact that someone may have a partner in America, parents in Nigeria, or siblings in Pakistan, and they won't be able to go see people who are very, very important to them. The risk is that we end up with a very uneven and possibly unfair system.
Yeah.
The relatively free movement enjoyed by many tourists is a modern phenomenon that has played an increasingly important role in globalization and domestic economies. Take China. For around 30 years until the end of the 1970s, travel to and from China was heavily restricted. But today, China sends more tourists abroad than any other country. And they spend more money. In 2018, Chinese tourists spent over $270 billion overseas, almost double that spent by Americans. And the limitations on travel caused by the pandemic could have a knock-on effect on global cooperation and economic growth.
The worry is that these restrictions persist in the long term and then become entangled in all sorts of other things, such as reciprocity, trade negotiations, any sort of geopolitical dispute between countries. And so we return to sort of mid-20th century world of closed borders, lots of restrictions and paperwork, and just less interchange between countries.
Faced with an ever-changing array of travel restrictions, many travellers are looking closer to home for their holidays. In May, 80% of total reservations on Airbnb were made domestically. And between January and April, foreign searches for summer holiday accommodation in Spain fell by as much as 94%. The rise in localised travel could be good news for the environment. In 2018, carbon dioxide emissions from commercial flights accounted for 2.4% of global fossil fuel emissions.
The answer to this quandary is not to stop people from flying. Rather, it's to make planes more efficient and to focus on innovation in the industry. The pandemic has accelerated the shift towards efficiency, so some older planes are being taken out of the sky.
The COVID-19 pandemic will dramatically affect the way in which people move around the world. But rather than driving economic growth, as the travel industry has in the past, new restrictions could affect globalization, sowing division and increasing inequality.
My name is Leo Mirani. I'm a correspondent on the Britain desk at The Economist. And if you'd like to read more about the impact that COVID-19 is having on international travel, click the link opposite.
Guys, that was The Economist with regards to what will change or why travel will somehow change. And it will never be the same again. Of course, for the longest time, humans have been traveling around the globe non-stop, and suddenly everything stops. You can't even go anywhere, to a point that I cannot even go out from my house without having to wear mask, or I'm restricted. I can only go here because Tesco is the only thing that is open for me to go, or any other convenience store. Unlike last time, we can go to cafes, we can go to here and there. For 3 months, we didn't get to go anywhere. Kita terkurung. Bukan terkurung, macam mana tahu? Bukan terkurung sehingga kita langsung tak boleh buat apa-apa. But we are restricted because we are endangering ourselves and our family as well, walau dimanapun kita berada, because in the earlier MCO in Malaysia especially, we do not know where the virus is. So the government worked really, really hard to rectify the areas, the issues, and try their best to overcome it. Of course, we have not won the battle yet, but thank God that Malaysia is doing whatever it can, the best it can to recover from this. And yes, of course, as much as we feel sad that a lot of our friends in the airline industry, in the tourism industry, in the hotel industry were affected by this situation when people cannot travel in and out, where people cannot, but I always believe there is something good in everything that is happening right now. When less plane on air, meaning to say pollution is lesser, and I heard also in countries like Italy the water became more clearer, and in India the mountain that you can never see before, now it's super clear because of less pollution, or probably zero pollution, because less car on the road and so on and so forth. And yeah, there is always good thing that is happening if we this is what I always say to myself, and people always advise others, like there is no harm in doing this and that, but be berpada-pada. You have to do it like gradual, sederhana. What's sederhana? Like you don't overdo it. Like everything has limit, so you don't go through that limit. So I think whatever that is happening right now as well, it's like the Mother Nature is giving us a warning to do not push me, because I can do more than this pandemic maybe. So now we are like in Malaysia, we are slowly building up. Like last time we can't even go out lepak or hang out with friends. Nowadays we can. And then we can travel within the country. We can cross state. Last time we can't even cross. Like the state is just there. We can't even cross. So now we are allowed to do so because we are able to contain it at the moment. And Malaysians are encouraged to travel within Malaysia. And it is good as well because this year is Visit Malaysia Year 2020. So it is up to us now to help the economy in Malaysia, and also at the same time to help our friends in the hospitality industry. I mean, in the airline, in the tourism, in the hotel. It's time for us to help them, and it's time for us to grab the opportunity or chance as well to travel in the country, because I believe it's never been this cheap. Trust me, it's never been this cheap. So while it's still in this stage, try to discover as many places in Malaysia. Try to discover as many places in Malaysia that to a point you will be saying, wow, actually what I want overseas, we have it in Malaysia. Alright? For those who only travel overseas, never travel within Malaysia, basically me, I'm fine with both, but for my opinion, traveling overseas last time is much more cheaper than my country. But nowadays, it should be like, because we do not have choice, and at the same time it's getting cheaper right now, and fuel also pun dah turun sampai RM1 lebih. Never ever happened for like many years. Minyak pun turun, so grab the opportunity to refuel and travel, drive, cross country. Enjoy your travel with your family and friends. Discover more about Malaysia. We have a lot of things to be discovered. It's just that we do not know and we do not have enough time. So yeah, definitely I believe travel will never be the same after this. There will be so many restrictions. Like me going back to Sabah also, it took me quite some time to get used to it once, because I need to fill in forms and whatnot. The hassle is there. But for me, it's for our own good. Okay? It's for our own good. So, yeah, I believe what the economist mentioned is is accurate. The travel will never be the same. It's very hard to rebound from all of this, but we have to continuously support each other. So thank you so much for watching my reaction. You guys have a great evening ahead. Bye bye.